are growing by thousands of percentage points. Diabetes, all these different diseases. And in major studies, it's all been linked to the toxic additives that are in our food, our water. And I haven't even had time to get into MSG. I mean, I've interviewed brain surgeons, neurologists, scientists. I mean, it just devastates the brain. It's an excitotoxin. It destroys the liver. And it is in tens of thousands of products. We can say no. We can stand up. But if you've got a neighbor giving fluoride water to their baby, please go over and warn them. If you got a neighbor that's sitting there eating MSG-filled chips, one after the other, warn them. You've got a responsibility. If you know people that are feeding processed foods filled with GMO, warn them. And for God's sakes, don't give it to your own children. If you want to kill yourself, that's your own business. But don't hurt your children. Don't do this, ladies and gentlemen. In closing, I want to talk about some positive things. Just 15 years ago or so, you couldn't find organic food anywhere on store shelves. And now, about half of what you see is organic. Just a few years ago, all the milk had the growth hormone in it. Now it's hard to find milk that has the growth hormone in it because the consumers have spoken and said no. A few years ago, you couldn't find toothpaste that didn't have sodium fluoride in it. Now Tom's of Maine is starting to take over the aisle space and displace the other mainline toothpaste makers, where it says on the back, if you swallow this, call poison control immediately. Even Colgate is now putting out fluoride-free toothpaste. People are demanding that they not be poisoned, and they're finding out about what's going on. And so industry is starting to respond and at least give people who want a choice an option to not be forcibly medicated through the food and the water. You know cigarettes are bad for you, but just 20 years ago, the cigarette makers were getting up before Congress and saying it was a conspiracy theory that it was killing people. And then later it came out in their internal documents, they knew it was deadly. Ladies and gentlemen, I've seen the studies. Much of what they're putting in our food and water is far worse than even cigarettes, as bad as they are, one of the biggest killers in this country. This is a covert, soft kill operation. We'll put a lot of links beneath this video so you can check out the facts for yourself. And I'm just begging you to do your own research and find out that one of the most dangerous places in the world is your grocery store and the tap water in your house. Well, you think that's bad. You think what's happening with the GMO and the toxins in the food and water is bad. With Food, the Ultimate Secret exposed. Well, unfortunately, that's nothing. That's the old-fashioned low-tech ways that the establishment's playing God with their little slaves. No, this next piece got a lot of attention. A lot of big newspapers and magazines reported on this. They got very upset by it because for Big Brother and Big Pharma, this is the new frontier. And, of course, I'm talking about brain-eating vaccines. Oh, when they promote them, they call them, a vaccine where you'll never be addicted to drugs again, or a vaccine where you'll never be depressed again, or a vaccine for memories. But when you study this class of vaccines, they go in and actually destroy different receptor sites, that is, different cell ganglia in the brain. And yeah, once you take these different vaccines, you'll never want to use cocaine or drink Jack Daniels again. But you see, cocaine and Jack Daniels already mimic receptors in the brain that take up endorphins of when you get the date with that beautiful woman you got the crush on, or when you score the touchdown, or you get the business deal, or you help the old lady across the street, or when you jam your car down in second gear and drive around on the shoulder around somebody who wouldn't get out of your way and you roar past them in victory. Yeah, that. You take these vaccines, you're never going to feel that again. But don't worry, they've got a pill that'll take care of what the vaccines do to your brain. So here it is, the brain-eating vaccines. Oh, yeah, it's Buck Rogers. My friends, please pay attention to the information I'm about to cover and research the links that we'll post below this video so that you understand none of this is my opinion, it is fact. This issue is the most important issue going on in the world. It is scientific tyranny. I've read literally hundreds of government white papers and documents and books like Eco-Science, where the White House science czar talks about forcibly drugging the water to dumb you down and sterilize you. But now, they're in the New York Times and Time Magazine and everywhere, and all the major medical journals promoting not only drugging the water with lithium, which, by the way, they're already doing, but now they're announcing it to make you servile. But now they are admitting that they plan to deploy something I learned about a decade ago. Hundreds of different vaccines. They're really biological re-engineering live viruses that they inject into your body, and the live viruses go in and attack your brain. And they claim, oh, it's to stop drug addiction. Those same receptor sites that pick up opiates and nicotine and alcohol pick up your normal endorphins. It's part of being a normal human being. Those drugs mimic that. And the viruses attack those receptor sites and kill them and create dead tissue. It is a vaccine-induced live virus lobotomy. Now they're coming out and saying the American people and the people of the world are sick. And major medical journals are saying we need to give everybody these shots to make them feel better, to stop having anxiety, to stop being angry. In other words, to take away your instinct for self-preservation, your will to survive, to make you accept all the bad things that are happening, to turn you into a biological android, a type of zombie. You cannot make this up. Please send this video to everyone you know. For God's sakes, understand how serious this is. This is a global scientific corporate takeover of life itself. The globalists aren't just re-engineering corn and wheat and every other major crop and engineering sterilants into them. Suddenly, all over the news, they're promoting lithium and Prozac and other drugs in the water. Head bioethicist at Cambridge, they're the people that advise and set medical policy for doctors, are announcing they want to force drug you, and they're calling it cognitive enhancement. I've got a CBS News piece where they say that mercury helps your intelligence when everyone knows it causes brain damage.
Mercury-containing vaccines may help, not harm kids, according to 2 new studies in the journal Pediatrics.
So when they say cognitive enhancement, they mean cognitive brain damage. They mean taking your essence, literally your psyche, who you are, away. And they sit up there saying, well, if we put Prozac in the water, it'll cut suicide, when it's admitted that Prozac on its insert can cause suicide. I have mainstream news articles that have just come out in the last few days in England where people have a 10-fold increase in convulsions, and they develop epilepsy after the flu shot. I talked to top scientists who studied the flu shot last year and found bizarre viral RNA in it that deals with the brain. I've had top brain surgeons on, like Dr. Russell Blaylock, to talk about this, and the government documents that he's read, how this is part of a eugenics population control program. I mean, here it is. London Telegraph, flu jab linked to fits in under 5s. And it goes on to say they've been told not to give children, 110,000 in England, under 5 the shot because they had convulsions at 10 times the regular rate. Lindsay Lohan isn't what matters. Mel Gibson isn't what matters. The Depression doesn't even matter. War with Iran is not even that important compared to a medical dictatorship. And under the National Health Service in England and now national health care here in the U.S., they're slashing regular health care like cancer surgery or having a broken leg fixed and converting it over to psychiatry and this biological warfare or biopsychiatry where they say, don't worry about drugs anymore for your depression. We're going to give you a shot that alters your brain by viruses literally attacking your brain. And they're rolling it out in public trials, over 100 of these vaccines right now. And they're clearly spiking other vaccines with it. If you love your children, if you love your family, you've got to realize this is a creeping, scientific, incremental, soft kill system. Let's go over some of these articles. Jabs that could put a stop to stress without slowing us down. And it says they're going to make humans better. They've re-engineered potatoes and corn. Why not just re-engineer humans? And they quote all these major medical journals saying how great it is. And they say, this could change society, the professor said. And they have a government-funded Stanford team with these neuroprotective viruses. And this particular vaccine, one of hundreds, is a live herpes virus engineered to only eat certain key brain tissue. They're just rolling it out. And this isn't like some drug that they give people for a decade that causes hundreds of thousands of women to have deformed children. This isn't some drug that just makes one person, have a heart attack. All these other recalled drugs, these aren't even drugs. These are genetically engineered nanotech viruses that go in and turn you into a servile biological android. Do you understand? The vaccines that they're rolling out are live virus bioweapons that re-engineer your brain. You've seen the reports where all over the world, Asia, Africa, Latin America, Central Asia, they give children UN-sanctioned polio shots. And the children come down with weaponized polio and die. And the government admits, it was an accident with that vaccine. People are now waking up to the fact that the vaccines are causing convulsions and brain damage and cancer. And so what's their answer? They're coming out and saying, don't worry, instead of a shot, have a banana. They're coming out, Nobel laureate scientist defines future vaccines as food. They're pharmacological crops that grow the live virus, whether it gives you cancer or gives you polio or literally sends viruses in to eat parts of your brain. It's all being done. Bill Gates is coming out with a biologically engineered mosquito to forcibly deliver vaccines to you. We'll be right back.
There's new drug discovery going on. Our foundation is backed a vaccine that's going into phase 3 trial that starts in a couple months, and that should save over 2/3 of the lives if it's effective.
And most sickeningly, over and over again, they claim, it's to make you not depressed anymore. All of you have problems. You shouldn't be upset about things. No, we're meant to get upset at a biological level and say no to this tyranny. And so they're coming out saying, we're going to re-engineer your brain, cognitive enhancements. We're going to help you. The mercury's helping your brain on newscasts all over the country. The convulsions are helping you. Lithium, a toxic metal that they want to put in the water, it's helping you. You're going to feel much better after all of this is done.
What's wrong?
Never mind.
They're not coming for us. They're already here. We're in danger. Many of you who have a child who seems to be dumbed down and isn't as smart as anybody else in your family, and something's wrong with them. It's the vaccines. It's the GMO food. Many of you who had an 18-month-old baby who was healthy and happy, they take that third round of shots. They have a convulsion that night, and they never talk again. They're turning you into servile minions who will do whatever you're told and who can't get angry and can't resist. Why do they want lithium in the water? They admit to make you submit. What does sodium fluoride and all the studies do? Make you submit. And what do these vaccines do? They make you passive. They make you unable to get angry. Anger is a propulsion system to make you stand up for your species. This is a hostile corporate takeover of the very genetic code of not just the plants and animals, but humanity itself. It is the most diabolical, covert operation ever seen. And now these people are out in the open. It's admitted. Do you understand? It's admitted. They want to make these shots mandatory in public schools to make you servile. But you don't want to become addicted to drugs. What do you think drugs mimic? They mimic natural chemicals in the brain that stir creativity and anger and love and everything else. It's those key receptors. They're literally going for the soul of man that is in the beautiful, detailed, complex computer that is the human mind. This is a hack against the human mind, a hack against the human soul, and we must stand up and resist it. They realize there's a worldwide revolt against this technocracy, against dehumanization. You need to become educated on these facts and join the resistance against this scientific dictatorship. Now is the time to realize that history is taking place right now, that we're living in the 21st century, and a scientific tyranny has taken over. If we are successful in defeating these people, historians will look back on this time as the greatest covert genocide in history. They will look back on it as the ultimate example of pure evil and corruption, this creeping death. Now, I've warned the public, and I will continue to detail what's happening.
In areas where lithium in trace amounts is in the drinking water, there seems to be a lower level of suicidality. And in the Texas counties that were studied, there's actually a lower crime rate.
And how these enemies come out and talk in their simpering, lisping tones real softly to coax you and to add